Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're stepping right onto the dairy farm to solve a genuine biological whodunit. It's a literal medical mystery that plays out in herds all over the world. And honestly, it perfectly highlights just how connected everything in agricultural science really is. So, we're going to put on our detective hats and look at what happens when the problem isn't necessarily the cow herself, but rather a microscopic shift happening deep inside her. Our story starts on a completely normal day. Picture this. You're looking over your bulk tank milk report from last month. Right there, staring back at you, your herd's average milk fat is sitting beautifully at 4.20%. It's a solid, healthy number. You've got your rations completely dialed in, your forage quality is great, and the herd is performing exactly as you formulated. Everything is perfectly fine. Okay, let's dive into this, because fast forward to this month's bulk tank report, and boom, you're hit with this number. 3.55%. A sudden, sharp, and totally shocking drop in milk fat. It's the kind of sudden decline that literally makes your stomach drop. Because in the dairy world, milk fat is deeply tied to farm economics. You immediately know something is wrong. But the real question is, where do you even start looking? So naturally, your brain starts racing and you begin eliminating the usual suspects. You check the milking parlor, you look at the overall milk yield, and surprisingly, it hasn't really changed. You check the milk protein levels, totally stable. You walk the barns, you look at the cows, and you know what? They appear perfectly healthy. No obvious signs of illness, no dramatic environmental changes. On a macro level, everything looks absolutely fine. So what exactly happened between last month and this month? Well, to solve this mystery, we've got to stop looking at the cow from the outside and start looking inside. Specifically, we need to ask this one fundamental question. Has something changed inside the rumen? We are shifting our entire focus from the macro farm level down to the microscopic level. The rumen is this incredibly complex fermentation vat, and as we're about to see, it is absolutely the prime suspect in our missing milk fat case.
Section 1, the biological suspects. Let's dig into the science.
What we are actually dealing with here is a condition known in the scientific literature as diet-induced milk fat depression, or MFD. Now, I really want to pause here and bust a massive knee-jerk myth. It is so incredibly easy to look at a low milk fat test and say, oh, the cows just need more fiber. But actually, scratch that. It's not that simple. As we can see, the biology is way more complex. It's actually driven by altered rumen fermentation and a disruption in what we call biohydrogenation pathways. And that brings us to the actual microscopic culprit. When a cow's diet alters the rumen environment, the normal pathways where microbes process or biohydrogenate dietary fats get completely hijacked. Instead of the normal process, the microbes start churning out specific intermediate fatty acids. The most famous culprit here is trans-10-cis-12 conjugated linoleic acid, or just CLA for short. This specific compound travels right out of the rumen, straight to the mammary gland, and actively suppresses the biological pathways that synthesize milk fat. It literally acts like a switch, just turning off that production. So what causes the rumen microbes to suddenly go rogue and pump out this fat-blocking CLA? Well, research points us to 4 primary dietary triggers. First up, highly fermentable carbohydrates. Too much rapidly digesting starch alters the rumen pH and the microbial populations. Second, inadequate physically effective fiber, meaning the cow just isn't chewing enough to produce the saliva needed to buffer the rumen. Third is feed sorting, which we'll touch on in just a second. And fourth, the introduction of certain unsaturated dietary fats that just interact poorly with the rumen environment. Most of the time, it's actually a combination of these suspects working together. Section 2. The farm investigation. Time to step out of the lab and into the boots of a farm detective. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the most frustrating challenges in all of dairy nutrition: feed sorting. Think about the diet the nutritionist formulates on paper. It's this perfect, beautiful balance of energy-dense starch and long, effective forage. But then, think about what the cow actually consumes. If a cow sorts her feed, leaving all that long forage behind in the bunk and just gobbling up the fine, starch-rich particles, she's effectively eating a completely different diet. She's basically built herself a highly fermentable, low-fiber ration, which practically guarantees a massive shift in her rumen biohydrogenation. Think of this diagnostic breakdown as your ultimate investigative cheat sheet. When milk fat drops, you absolutely have to look for secondary clues. For instance, if milk fat is down and you know the diet is super high in starch, well, that suggests a fermentation shift, so you need to investigate your starch sources and processing. If milk fat is down and you catch the cows tossing their feet around, sorting is altering their nutrient intake, so you've got to investigate particle size. And if milk fat is down alongside a noticeable drop in rumination, meaning the cows aren't chewing their cud, that suggests reduced physical effectiveness of the diet. You need to investigate your fiber length. The symptoms always point directly to the specific nutritional investigation you need to run.
Section 3. The action plan. Let's turn these clues into concrete solutions. So, the absolutely crucial point is right here at step 1. Please do not blindly add more fiber. If you just dump a bunch of straw or hay into the ration without actually understanding the root cause, you risk diluting the energy density of the whole diet, which can totally tank your overall milk yield. Instead, you need a systematic review. Step 2, evaluate the physically effective fiber. Is the particle size actually right for the rumen? Step 3, examine the starch. Is it fermenting way too fast? Step 4, review your dietary fats. Did you just add a new supplement that's interacting poorly? And finally, step 5, always compare the fresh feed to the refusals left in the bunk to definitively check for feed sorting. You have to fix the actual root cause, not just the symptom.
Section 4. The future of dairy.
Everything we've discussed so far really relies on sharp human observation and, well, reactive troubleshooting. But the dairy industry is on the cusp of a massive technological shift that's going to completely change how we handle this mystery. The science of precision dairy farming is advancing so rapidly, we're moving toward a reality where the milk itself tells us exactly what's happening inside the rumen. Researchers are already using milk fatty acid profiled and mid-infrared spectroscopy to detect those microscopic biohydrogenation shifts in real time. Combine that with automated rumination collars that monitor chewing behavior 24/7 and feed all that juicy data into AI-based prediction models, suddenly standard milk recording transforms from a boring historical production report into a highly active, precise diagnostic tool. Just think about how this builds a completely different workflow. Today, the process is highly reactive. The farmer sees the milk fat drop on a monthly report, picks up the phone to call the nutritionist, and they manually review the ration and the bunks. But on the future farm, the milk analyzer detects the drop in fat alongside a specific change in the fatty acid profile and a dip in rumination. The AI instantly flags a high probability of diet-induced milk fat depression and pinpoints the most likely drivers, like altered rumen biohydrogenation combined with inadequate effective fiber. It's a massive leap. We're talking about moving from simple precision measurement straight to precision decision-making.
And that brings us to the end of our biological investigation. We've seen that a drop in milk fat isn't just some basic fiber deficiency, it's a complex chemical signal from the rumen telling you that something in the diet, whether it's starch, feed sorting, or dietary fats, has fundamentally shifted those microbial pathways. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on for your own operation. If milk fat suddenly drops on your farm tomorrow, before you reach for the phone or a bale of hay, what is the very first thing you are going to investigate? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, always keep looking beneath the surface.